Hi, my name is Tayyab Maksud. I'm a program director for project management here at RMIT University in School of Property, Construction and Project Management. Today I'm going to talk about a course which I teach. The course name is Evaluating and Managing Project Risk. And I would like to give you a bit of a description about this course and why the area of risk management is so important to the whole theory of the project management. So let's start with risk. What is risk? The risk is generally defined as a possibility of loss or injury. But in project management terms, it is more than that. The risk is a chance of something happening that will have an impact on objectives. Three things are important in this definition. First one, chance, probability, or likelihood. Second one, impact or consequences. And the third one, objectives or project objectives. In project management terms, those events are categorized as risks that have the potential of producing some impact on project objectives. Risk is a game of chance. Where there is no chance, there is no consideration of risk. When you are 0% sure or 100% sure for certain thing, we cannot consider that event as a risk. So a risk will always have a probability between 0 to 100. And if a certain event is not having any impact on project objectives, this also cannot be categorized as a risk. This makes risk management activity very much related to scope management. The scope of the project needs to be defined as clearly as possible for reliable risk management activity to happen. Project professionals and managers need to clearly understand these characteristics of a risk, otherwise risks are identified out of context and a project manager can miss risk factors that are important. Either way, this can represent a big loss of time and money for organizations. So what is risk management? Risk management is a deliberate, planned, and systematic way of managing risks. What is interesting is that different organizations which develop standards related to risk management have slightly different ways of describing the process of risk management. Such organizations include the Project Management Institute, the Office of Government Commerce UK, and the Association of Project Management. The standard that we follow in this course is Australian New Zealand Standard ISO 31000 2009. This is an ISO, which stands for International Organization for Standardization Standard, which is based on an Australian risk management standard. Australian standards in risk management have been by far the best and most advanced and have led the way in risk management. Since 1995, when the first edition of the standards was published, they have gradually been improved over the years. The third edition of this standard, Australian New Zealand Standards 4360 2004, has been well used in the industry. In 2009, these standards were rebranded under ISO and has now become an international standard. The latest revision of the standard has clearly focused on two things. Number one, risks need to be aligned with the objectives, whether project or strategic. Number two, for risk management to work and deliver value, it must be integrated in organizations' day-to-day activity. Now let me explain the process of risk management. What is the process of risk management? The risk management process consists of the following. Number one, establishing the context. Number two, risk identification. Number three, risk analysis. Number four, risk evaluation. Number five, risk treatment. Number six, monitoring and review. And the last one, communication and consultation. So let me now explain about this course. This course, Evaluating and Managing Project Risk, prepares you to understand this risk management process clearly and how to relate the concept of risk in a project context. You will need to demonstrate how these principles and processes of risk management can be applied to a project environment. After finishing this course, you would have developed a sound conceptual grasp of the concept of risk in a project context, understand the processes of risk management, and be able to apply techniques and tools of risk management confidently. Above all, what you would have developed in this course is what I term as a risk-oriented thinking. This course will give you an entirely new perspective or lens to look into the issues of project management and risk management. Over the last 6 years of teaching, I've seen that to happen to my students all the time, and then tell me that how their perspective on project management and specifically risk management entirely changed. So it is important to develop this risk-oriented thinking if you want to meet your project objectives successfully. The course will be over in several weeks, but this risk-oriented thinking will stay with you forever. Risk management is becoming inevitable for organizations and on projects. Organizations know this and trying to manage risk on projects, but mostly they are doing it in an ineffective way. Rather than getting value out of this activity, they are actually losing tons of money. Risk comes in various dimensions. There are time-related risks, cost-related risks, risk related to the quality. Risks can be broadly categorized in two ways. Natural system would have risk associated with climate, weather, ecological, biological, geological, etc. And human system is related to risks that can be categorized as social, political, economic, financial, legal, health, managerial, technical, cultural, etc. 9/11 terrorist attacks and global financial crisis has totally changed the world outlook and strategic approach to doing business. There are now real risks of security, terrorism, health and financial, which affects everything we do.
In our company, as a project manager, a risk actually is usually passed on to all the parties involved in a project. Wherein we have the contractor, we have the designers, we have the consultants, and the owners. And as a project manager working for the owner, at least our job is to make sure that most of the risk is passed on to anybody and lesser to the owner. On the project management function, I would identify some, and all of this I think is we can put it all on the contract. In my company, one risk is of course the cost, or in collection of we have to make sure that we can get what we work for, and we've always find a way how to ensure that cost-wise we will be risk free. In construction, most of the risk is passed on to the contractor. So if I am the project manager working for the contractor, then it's very, very important that I have to make sure that all of the risk has to be categorized, identified, and have to solve, at least have to be solved at the beginning of the project. So having all these risks, identifying them, categorizing them and identifying them, and put solutions to it is a must for a project to succeed.
Okay, the risk of the major risk is can be the first one is just understanding of the customer requirement from day one. So that's a lot of misunderstanding from the different level from the customer perspective, and when they explain their requirement, that might be different from the management side or from the middle management side, and when come to the partner, the consultant side, so maybe the consultant might understand it differently. So that's the first one. The second one is they miss of that's a lack of the scope of work. They don't know their requirement very well, even from the customer project team, and so that's why they cannot identify what they need in future. So that's why impact to the scope of work, and after for a while the project scope will be expanding, and then that's affect to the project. So that's the scope of work will be changing, and that's will be the risky. The second point is in terms of the organization structure changing. So the customer side will be changing. After for a while they might expand the business, and they will acquire the different business. So that's totally impact to the project as well. Or the human resource change from their side. Might be the project manager will be leaving, or that's a key user might be leaving as well. So that's also impact. The third one is that's a lack of the management involvement or commitment to the project. So we experience a lot of projects that's the management has been involved in the first day for the kick-off meeting, and after for a while, so they leave it to the team, and without the proper guideline or instruction, so the project may go wrong, and until the project going wrong, so then they get back to the management, but that's to be late, and that can impact to the project schedule and also the other thing as well. So that's the key three area that's a potential risk, and of course financial risk also that very important as well. So a lot of companies they don't have a budget running the project completely. So that will delay the project. Yeah.
Okay. Risk is interesting things, because for Asian culture, risk is really taboo, and we don't really want to talk about that at the very beginning of something. So when I talk to the owner of the suppliers or Puma or Bayers, okay, they're straightforward, even the consultant. But when we talk to the suppliers, like, okay, if we just get example, when one of the project, we trying to help them to decrease to try to save at least 25% of the energy baseline within 3 years. So when I talk to them, then okay, do you want to join us for the 3 years project? If yes, then you have to sign an MOU, and this is the area you have to foresee. If there is something wrong, you could not drop off the project. And it just, why at the beginning and you say something like that? I really want to do it, and why are you just saying that risk now? But there's something we have to talk to them at the first place. So just give you an idea that the risk is really taboo in Asian culture. But then I have to change the way I'm talking to them, trying to make it a little bit easier, and just like a contingency plan, and how to let them know that to join the project, what's gonna be happening in the next 3 years, like what kind of investment you have to put in. Because we do the free consultancy. We help you to save the energy or save the water, mitigate the CO2 emission. But there's some technical technology involved, then you have to invest the money. This is for your factory. We could not sponsor for that. And maybe you also have to be aware of that at the very beginning. If they say, no, my business is not really good this day, then they have to think about that. So this is like a risk we mitigate. If they could not join at the beginning, we can looking for another suppliers. So that's another example about risk.
I hope I have given you some information about the risk and risk management to get you excited about this course. Thanks for watching and see you in the course.